Hello guys, my name is Deev. I'm CEO and co-founder at Stobox, as well as in our newly born RWA media initiative. And today I will speak about what type of businesses can be tokenized and what are the process behind this tokenization. What are the major steps, milestones? What do I have to deal with when we talk about tokenization? So first of all, let's say any business can be tokenized. Any real world asset can be tokenized. A cup can be tokenized. Your business can be tokenized. Even time can be tokenized. Attention can be. There are a lot of things can be tokenized. So when you are thinking of leveraging tokenization for your business, because this is exactly our focus, Stobox mostly focuses on the tokenization of real world businesses, right? So if you think of how can I, as a businessman, how can I leverage tokenization? That's a good question. You're on the right track. So we can help you with answering those type of questions. Again, any business, any real world asset can be tokenized. It's extremely important to understand what benefits does tokenization bring to an issuer and what constraints or what knowledge it demands from you as an issuer to tokenize, right? So the most important thing that you have to understand is that your private business, your small company, right, will start to act as if it's public, as if it's a big company. Because if you're successful fundraising, if you're a successful businessman, if you're putting your small private business to the blockchain and exposing that business to the global audience, if you're on the right track, you presumably you would have a lot of investors showing their interest. So you might have a big company, right? From just shifting from an ordinary paper management to the tokenized management of your company, you can attract tens, hundreds, thousands, even hundred thousands of new people into your business. So your small company becomes big. That's important. Another point to mention is that when you tokenize an asset, what does that mean? You have the custody of the asset, for example, corporate shares, and you move those assets to the blockchain. There is special legal procedures of how you could take a recognized asset like a corporate security and assign it to the blockchain address. So that's another very important point, that tokenization, it's not managing the asset, it's the managing of the tokens on the smart contracts that is legally attached to the asset. Very important. Let's divide the process of tokenization into 5 steps, and let's speak about each one of them. So the first step is what we call a consulting stage, or let's say initial phase. All these questions like how can I tokenize my business? What would be the underlying asset? What is the price? What is the valuation? How many tokens? What blockchain? What are the investors that I'm approaching? Where shall I approach them from? What type of company shall I create? What are the tax implications? What are the KYC? There was a lot of questions. And again, Stobox has developed a consulting branch. Again, 5 years we're working with multiple businesses. If I'm not mistaken, we have already more than 70 clients that passed through also the consulting, the preliminary phase of tokenization. So we will speak about the pitfalls, nuances, what to tokenize, how to tokenize. So basically, you as an issuer, right, would have a complete understanding of your business on the blockchain. So that's the first step. It's a very important step because I know that a lot of businesses try to overjump, right, this and go, let's go to the decentralized market. Let's go, guys. But if you're missing the whole point, regulations, offering memorandums, compliance, the importance of the tokenomics, underlying assets. So if you all miss that thing and you just simply move to the secondary trading, I suggest this is not the best process, right? So you have to go step by step, and the first step is the consulting, is for you to understand what is the tokenization, for you answer all these questions. That's the first step, important. Usually it takes from 2 to 4 weeks from Stobox side. But again, it would depend on the project itself, it would depend on the asset that is being tokenized, on the jurisdiction that is being tokenized from. And it's very critical for you to know is we shouldn't overjump the process of technical requirements, of the consulting stage, of answering all the tricky questions about the tokenization. So that's the first step. The second point in the process of asset tokenization, or the second phase, is the legal phase. And it's very important to go through this process very carefully, because when we say legal, it means what would be the legal terms of the offering itself, because usually companies that tokenize their assets, they offer those assets to the general public. And as I've explained you previously in my previous videos, the process of the offering, or the regulations of the offering, are very important to follow. So the second step of tokenization is the legal framing, and it's very critical to line up all the important documentation like prospectus memorandum or private PPMs or white papers, so on and so forth. So this offering has to be legally verified and legally correct. It's important to know that Stobox does not offer legal services, right? Stobox is not a legal company. Nevertheless, we know best practices and we can assist you in the legal and regulatory frameworks, and then your legal counsels, your local legal counsels would be able to verify this process. And again, if you aiming for tokenization, it's better that you choose your own legal provider, and actually that legal provider has to understand what is tokenization, has to support your issuance and throughout all the stages throughout the offering. But again, Stobox has been focused on the asset tokenization for the last 5 years, having spent thousands of hours on the legal nuances and the pitfalls, and working on the research of the different jurisdictions, legal pitfalls. We have spent more than 100,000 hours on different nuances on the subject of tokenization. Most of them are within the legal framing. So if you need any help or assistance, you can always refer to Stobox. We will be happy to answer all of your legal questions. But again, it's very important that an issuer has their own legal counsel to support tokenization of your specific asset. The third point in tokenization is the actual technical framework, right? So what are the blockchains? Is it private blockchain or is it public blockchain? What is the primary issuance software that is actually managed? How that software is compliant? Is it a centralized system that offers tokenization, or if it's a standalone software as a service, for example? So there's a different nuances on choosing different platforms. I'm not going to dive into details and peculiarities of what is the DS dashboard, but again, we have numerous clients that have been successfully issuing their security tokens, their tokenized assets on Stobox DS dashboard. But it's not only this, there's plenty of different platforms. As soon as you know the difference between them, and you know what are the risks and what are the pros and cons of issuing on the different platforms, that would be enough for you to make certain decisions. So the third process is the technical. You're creating the smart contracts, moving assets on the blockchain, understanding what would be the framework where your investors can buy, sell, manage those tokens, where you as an issuer would be able to manage those tokens assign certain roles and permissions and mint and burn and so on and so forth. So technical, it's a very important process. Again, within the technical, there are processes like creating a token and then offering a token and the management. So there's a different life cycles, or there is a life cycle of specific token within the technical framework, within the software. So all of these aspects have to be taken into consideration before you make a final decision to go live with your tokenized asset. So as I say, consulting stage, legal stage, technical stage. The fourth, and it's a very tricky, important point, is the marketing. And again, with the explosion of the RWA industry, we see a lot of companies offering their tokenized or RWAs, right, to the general public. And it's very important to understand that offering securities, unlike offering digital assets, is a regulated procedure. So marketing those tokens may be classified as a regulated activity in different jurisdictions. Again, I'm not going to dive into details and tell you how it's in US or how it's in Europe or how it's in Malaysia or in Singapore, but marketing security tokens can be a subject to additional regulations or additional licensing. That's actually how investment brokers appeared. Who is the broker? Is the person who can buy and sell on behalf of the person, right? Who can offer securities, right? So that's why a lot of people saying this is not a financial advice. But why? Because once you say buy this RWA, you basically brokering that asset, right? You're interested in, or you're taking an advantage, right, of selling those assets. So again, marketing of RWAs may be a very, very tricky point. And if somebody says, okay, that's my RWA, go and spread the word, that could be a trap. Moreover, it would depend on different jurisdictions. So some jurisdictions are much harsher in that respect. Some don't care. Again, my point is that we have to be legal and correct regardless. So if you're offering or if you're promoting RWAs or promoting security tokens to the specific regions, make sure that you have done your homework and you understand what exactly are you doing. Because there are some cases, especially driven by US SEC, Security Exchange Commission, in respect to Ethereum or Ripple. What are they saying? They say, these were securities. You are offering securities without any respect to the securities offering laws, right? So what you did was not correct. And what SEC says, that says to whom? To Ethereum, to Ripple, to big guys. So again, if you want to be on the safe side, you should acknowledge that marketing of those securities may be a regulated process. So think about this, do your own research. Again, we at Stobox know all of the details, how that thing should work. If you have any questions about marketing securities, marketing your own RWAs with your own community, if you need any advice, come to Stobox. We presumably have answers to that questions as well. And the last point in tokenization, this is the main why it's all happening, right? Is because of the trading. And with the trading venues, let's put it simple, there are two classes of trading venues. The centralized trading venues and decentralized trading venues. With the centralized, what does that mean? It means that somebody else controls the custody of those assets and a company or a trading venue performs the trade. So we can put the limit order and then you put the market order, then you buy, then you sell, classical trading. With the security tokens, that venues have to have license under the securities laws, right? So you can't list any RWA on a centralized exchange. You won't see a lot of RWAs on Gate or on Binance or on Max because those exchanges are compliant for utility tokens, for cryptocurrencies. And tokenized assets, most of them are securities. So it's important that if you are looking for leveraging centralized trading for your specific asset, if you are a purchaser, if you're an investor, and you're looking at the RWA on the centralized exchange, look more carefully. That might be a trick. So centralized trading for security tokens is a very, very regulated and licensed activity. On the other hand, we have decentralized exchanges like DSwap, Stobox, like Uniswap, PancakeSwap, any others. And with the decentralized, it's much more simple because it's what is called automatic market making, AMM. So the blockchain smart contracts perform the whole job, right? They're audited. This is just the smart contracts. You create a pair and you allow your investors to trade within this pair. And even though there are also some regulations about decentralized trading, I'm not going to dive into details, but it's much faster and quicker. So if you are looking to tokenize, most probably you would be dealing with decentralized exchanges instead of listing somewhere that would cost a substantial amounts of money, that would limit certain type of investors, that would limit the ability to trade within the certain infrastructures, the opportunity to list your asset, your tokenized asset, on something like DSwap or Uniswap. It's a great method to actually make it liquid, to create a liquidity with this, to start trading of your asset. And that's a final step, right? So from consulting to legal to primary issuance via tokenization platform, marketing, and then decentralized trading or centralized trading in certain specific cases. So 5 steps in tokenization.